Greetings and welcome back to yet another episode of the Daily Run, and today we're playing as Eden. Eden is one of those characters that when you start playing you never really know what you're going to get, and that's what makes it exciting. In this case we start out with quite underwhelming stats, at least in the damage department, but thankfully the fact we have the blue candle kinda makes up for that. We also have some nice utility usage with the little chest, and obviously the little chest is good because not only does it have a chance to drop consumables which increase your points in daily runs, but it also has a chance to drop you some trinkets, and in this case we got Callus, and Callus is one of those underappreciated trinkets. People don't really know how much it's worth until you get it early on. It can actually help out your run because you can just walk over the spikes and you don't really have to worry about it. And I think everyone who's played Isaac for a long time will know that walking over spikes is probably the number one reason of taking some dumb damage, maybe besides red poops. But I think Blue Candle is one of those items that's actually really useful, and not just in early game, but also in later game. I genuinely think it's one of those active items that can carry your run from the start right to the finish. Maybe it's not so super strong to actually guarantee a win if you're going to fight Hush and Boss Rush like you do in dailies, but I think if you're not going for those tough big objectives, it can actually carry you right to the end and help you kill the lamp. And it's also very useful against those objectives as well, because it has the capability of blocking shots and tears. If you kind of know how to use it well, you can just do a lot of things with it, and that's what I really like about the blue candle. And the red candle is obviously somewhere in the same category. I wouldn't say that the blue candle is marginally better or worse, but their effects are different. Of course, with red candle you have the benefit of just producing a lot of flames, but with blue candle you do have the benefit of just having slightly higher damage. But you can see that this run is going quite wild. We got Magic Mush, we got the Blue Mushroom, we got Sackboy for Christ's sake, and Maw of the Void, all amazing items, and even Steven for the damage up. And now we got Ipecac. You know, I was debating should I pick up Ipecac, because in this particular run I don't think it's actually a very good choice, because that means we won't be able to use our Maw of the Void offensively. So unless we get some other synergies, we pretty much kind of neglected one of those items we have already picked up. And I usually don't want to do that, because what's the point of picking up Maw of the Void if it's just gonna be useless on the next floor? But because I am me, and I kind of like being just a little bit zany, if I can kind of steal that trademark word from Northern Lion, and I do enjoy items that are dangerous to myself for, of course, having some form of benefit. In this case, the benefit is having very high damage and the ability to find secret rooms and second secret rooms for basically free. And I decided to take it, and kind of to put everything in perspective. In the Devil Deal, I also had the chance of picking up Incubus. At first I thought it was Succubus, I then realized my, not mistake, but my negligence that saying it's actually Incubus. But if you make you feel any better, I would have still picked it up even if I realized it was Incubus at the start. And now we have two Ipecac shots out of our eyes or tears. And it's getting quite ridiculous, because you can imagine, just because Incubus is fourth in our familiar slot, it's actually shooting and lagging just a bit behind us, which means that the danger of hitting ourselves is astronomically high. And with any explosive item this is already a problem, or maybe a danger, but with having something that shoots explosive tears that you really don't have direct control over, so like your Incubus, you really increase your chances of getting hit. And in this particular case, this is shaping out to be quite a dangerous run, but I really like at least the way it's going. To kind of top off my explosive synergies or my explosive absurdity, I found the Safety Scissors. And Safety Scissors, if you don't know, transform any troll bombs into regular bombs after they drop down. If they're super troll bombs, they actually get transported into 2 bombs. So essentially you're trading troll bombs and they can't hurt you anymore, and you're getting consumables in return. And I think it's a great trinket because it has a lot of synergies and just a lot of combinations that work really well with it. For just again as an example, we got Curse of the Tower on the next floor, so that means if we get an Ivy Bag, we can intentionally hurt ourselves, and then every time we do that, troll bombs will spawn because of the Curse of the Tower, and because then of our Safety Scissor, those bombs will get transformed into just regular consumable bombs that we can pick up. And this is one of those combos that I actually exploit in this particular round to get a very high score. It's quite a different or maybe a difficult synergy to pull off, but I think I've pulled it off like twice or 3 times maybe in total on my daily runs, and that's mainly because I really like taking Safety Scissors. I think it's one of those items that kind of negates mistakes, because the troll bombs can get you sometimes, and there are a lot of rooms where you enter and there are troll bombs along with enemies, and just by due to accident and just due to how many of them are there, they can actually end up hitting you and costing you a lot. So with Safety Scissors you kind of omit that danger with just being immune to bombs essentially. And I think with having so many explosive synergies, being immune to bombs, at least to some degree, is definitely something that we need to be able to survive. But you can see now that this kind of got, to this point it was already pretty crazy, but there was monstrous lung in the treasure room, and of course, since we were going all out, why not pick it up? And now instead of just shooting one monstrous lung shot, we're shooting two because of Incubus, which means that every time we charge up, and the charge time is very low, surprisingly. I thought it was going to be much longer, but it's actually like only 1 second, which means we can shoot this quite rapidly, obviously to great danger to ourselves, just because of how many shots we shoot. But every time we do, there are like 30 explosive IPK shots going out of our mouths, and each IPK shot deals 70 damage. So you can see that our offensive potential in this case is just through the roof. It's amazing. This run is absolutely, like, the only way we could make it better is by getting a way to actually protect ourselves from this explosive damage. So something like Host Head or maybe Pyromaniac. A Pyromaniac would be quite broken in this situation just because we would be able to heal ourselves. But thankfully this time, with how this game turned out, every time we get hit, it's not even that big of a deal because we get so many bombs in return that we kind of negate the points we lose by hitting ourselves by getting the consumables back. And like I said, then I get maybe another item which helps me break the game even further. And of course, I'm not saying that getting hit is good at all, but in this case at least we have something from it if we decide not to break the game. And even then, we're still building towards the Guppy transformation, as this is our second Guppy item. So Guppy still, obviously with Sackboy we just get a ton of keys, there's no reason not to pick it up. Obviously, I would never say that there's a reason not to pick up Guppy still, except maybe it can replace some consumables and give you more golden chests, and if you don't have a lot of keys that can actually screw you over in some situations. But on this run we're set, we're set in the damage department, speed department, tears department, just any department, absurdity department. I think that is a very undervalued department in Isaac, but in this case the absurdity department is right up there. And I've heard that people had a ton of fun synergies on this particular run, so I'm interested to see if any of you actually played this daily, if you had any other synergies and maybe you didn't even find the items that I found. So please let me know, because I think this is one of those runs that is just absolutely wild and crazy. And comparing it to the yesterday's daily where we had no item rooms and treasure rooms and shops, I think this is a good example of what I think a fun Isaac game is. So I did say yes before that I will break the game in some way later on, and you can see that there's a jar in the shop, and you might be saying, jar is the item that you can use to break the game, and that's what I thought too, that's why I bought it and picked it up. But as I fought Hush, and Hush dies in like 1.5 minutes here, which is one of the most, I think, the fastest times I've actually done Hush, just because of, and it wasn't even because I had some crazy synergies with Brimstone or Mom's Knife, it was just because of how much damage I was outputting, just in terms of raw damage. This run was up there. And yeah, Hush died in 1.5 minutes, and I was debating, should I actually use the jar, in this case, to trade my red hearts away to get just a bunch of points. So if you don't know, you can take the jar, basically just keep using it, because every time you use the jar you drop hearts, and it doesn't count down your points, but every time you do pick up the hearts with the jar, your points do actually increase, which means that if you keep doing that, you can actually get unlimited points, or at least until you hit the cap of Shred bonus. So I actually decided that this would be a much easier way than to try to break the game with Anarchist's Cookbook. But looking back on it, as I was fighting Fash, I was thinking, that's not the best idea, because if I pick up the jar, first of all, I have Dark Bomb, and every time Dark Bomb walks over, he will actually take all of my red hearts away. So that's not good, because obviously I need red hearts to be able to replicate and just get a lot more consumables. And the second part is, every time I use it, there's a chance that my red hearts, I believe, will get transformed into Sacks because of Sackboy, which means, again, I won't have red hearts to use, and eventually I'm going to run out, which means I can't keep this up forever. So I was banking on taking Anarchist's Cookbook, and I thought just with the charges of how many floors there are, and just with my chances of getting Sackboy payouts, so Sacks in return, every time I use it, some of the bombs will get transported into sacks, and of course every time there's a sack, there's a good chance that it'll drop a battery, which means that eventually if I stack enough of them in a room, I was thinking maybe the odds of me getting a battery back are higher than me losing the battery. So in this case, what I end up doing is just I end up going in one single room and just spamming the spacebar button as soon as I can. So whenever I complete the 3 charges, I go in the same room, use my spacebar to spawn a bunch of bombs. Some of them get transported to consumables because I have the safety scissors, and because of Sackboy, some of those consumables get transported into sacks. And every time I open a sack, of course, there's more consumables and a chance of getting a battery. So I did that like 5 or 6 times in a particular room, and thankfully at that point we reached the critical mathematical point where the likelihood of us getting a battery back was higher than not actually, which means that we could keep that combo up forever. So for the 10 minutes I was just sitting there just spamming the spacebar button to spawn a bunch of bombs, consumables. We just picked them up, the batteries, basically it was ridiculous, and we did get a swag bonus of 15,000. So this was quite an unconventional way of breaking the run in some way, but we still managed to do it, and you can see that my rank is 15th, I think on grid, but our official rank is 2nd at the time of recording, so I'm really excited that after 2 somewhat bad dailies I was able to come up with a good one. Sadly we didn't hit the 50,000 mark, but you can understand by high damage penalty, just because we did have that crazy combination, and I'm really glad I picked it up and actually made it work, because I think even more fun than just picking up a crazy combination that you know is very dangerous to yourself is actually using it and making it work and getting a very good run out of it. Of course we did some breaking, but you know, you have to do that at least in daily runs if you want to get into like top 10 scores. So with that said guys, I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you next time.